welcome back to Tiger Dragonstorm's podcast, the Spiritual Awakening Show. Today's question is as follows. Anyone else been feeling absolutely dreadful this week with no clear reason why? Now, what strikes me the most upon reading this question is the word absolutely. Straight away, you are casting a imaginary spell on yourself and believing it to be true. Because you cannot feel absolutely anything. To suggest you feel absolutely dreadful is to suggest that you've never not felt anything other than dread this week. If that's a false statement, then you can see right there you are casting a spell on yourself, making yourself feel bad. And we can see it is a false statement, very simply. Because at some point during the week, you fell asleep. Right there and then, you see, prior to the dreaming, there is no thoughts for you to feel dread of. There's no experiencing of a phenomenal world for you to feel dread about, not even your very body. So you don't feel absolutely dreadful. Don't say that to yourself. You then wake up and continue the story. You choose to continue the story. The second part, this week with no clear reason why. In philosophical circles especially, but also in spiritual communities too, the why question can be greatly overused, and is, in my opinion, greatly overused when one is seeking truth. Of course, on a normal day-to-day level, the why question is fine. Why is the sky blue? Why can I not run as fast as Usain Bolt? That's fine. But on the path to awakening, at some point you realize that the why question is irrelevant because you realize what you truly are. Plus you realize how reality works. For example, if you saw a statue in the street and you asked, why is that there? It doesn't matter. Why are you asking? Because you see, everything is what it is until it is not. That sounds very simple, but we overlook this fact. The statue is there because it is there. That shop to your left is there because it is there. The clouds are above you because they are above you. The thought appears because it had to appear. This particular emotion appeared because it appeared. Everything is what it is until it is not. It cannot not be that in that so-called moment. So it's like having an argument with reality itself. I'm not saying reality is fixed. Of course, we experience change. But you can see that when you get upset at something, you're actually getting upset at your feeling of powerlessness. That the moment is what it is, or the situation is what it is. But actually, it couldn't be anything other than it was in that moment. Literally speaking. So that why question can make us crazy. But why? But why? Well, there is no end to the why question in the phenomenal world. This is why I say at some point you have to stop that why question. Not to mention the why question cements your question as being true. Anyone else been feeling absolutely dreadful this week with no clear reason why? Saying why cements that question as a truth that you were or are feeling absolutely dreadful. At some point in your spiritual journey, you will come to see that where the questions come from in the mind is not a place. It just is, and we call it consciousness, of course, which cannot be found in the world, yet it is self-evidently apparent that we are conscious. But of course, look within your own experience. Don't just take my word for it. So when you understand that you are conscious and consciousness cannot be found, yet it is fundamental to experiencing, then question with the right questions, such as, is consciousness a thing? Can I find it? Of course, you know you can't. If I can't find it as a thing, then obviously it has no color, no shape, no size. In fact, you could say you're imagining in consciousness, but you're using consciousness to imagine too. So it's a mystery, yet it's self-evident. What we do know is consciousness, or what you do know is consciousness, is always apparent when the question arises, why is this happening? So the question is never coming from consciousness, it's coming from the mind. Of course, on a high level, the mind is consciousness, but I don't need to go that deep for this question. So when I say consciousness, let me change the word to pure being. The pure being that you are does not have any questions. The Atman in Sanskrit. That has no questions. The questions are only happening within the mind. Yet you are that which is observing the mind, are you not? You observe the questions. You observe the feelings. You even observe the body. So the questions are not for you, they're for the ego. The ego is your pet. Don't take yourself to be the pet when you are the master. You could also reframe your question, knowing this. Because remember that there are no questions for the pure self. So you could reframe your question like this. Anyone else been feeling absolutely dreadful this week with no clear reason why? How about saying it this way? Anyone else been aware of the feeling of dread this week? It doesn't matter though. I am aware that I am that which is aware of the question and the feeling. Thus, I am not the feeling or the question itself. I am safely observing from my place of pure being. What a relief. Doesn't that feel better? To know that the thoughts, the emotions, the feelings can't touch the pure being that you are. They cannot stick on you. Try right now to stick something on the air around you. You cannot stick on something that which is, you cannot stick on something that which is immaterial. Your pure being, consciousness, is immaterial, so those thoughts cannot stick to it. It can never be absolutely true, as you say, absolutely feeling dreadful. So take yourself to be what you truly are, that pure being, that silent witness, that has no questions, that is the observer of questions. And then you will understand that the mind is always going to be what the mind is. The question is always going to be what it is. Things always are what they are until they are not. Understand that, accept that. Because when you try to change something, you are then fighting with reality itself. My friend, you are not going to defeat reality. You are that pure being, remember that. That pure being has no fight. That pure being is pure by definition. Raise yourself up to be that instead of lowering yourself to be the ego. Only the ego has problems, but you are that which is aware of those questions of feelings of problems. You are safe, you are whole. I hope you enjoyed this show, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for listening or watching this episode. If you are listening to it on my podcast, please follow. If you're watching this podcast on YouTube, please subscribe, and you'll stay up to date with the latest answers to the many interesting questions that the spiritual world has to offer. See you in the next one. Take care.